Good afternoon to everybody out there. This is Babanu Hariman Sogun. It's 2019. We now have available to the public the God Genes Decoded Black and Gold Edition. This book is going for $250, just like Volume 1. And for all the people out there who are seeing my books in bookstores in America and other countries, I have nothing to do with that. Those are all fraudulent copies being made. And the primary person that I know of that does this is the owner of African World Books. I'm not the only person who has spoken about this, and I'm not the only person complaining. And what's very, very disheartening, when you look at the conditions of black people talking about resurrecting their people and their ancestral way of life and fighting the system, the people that are by and large in control of this so-called movement, they are crooks. They are thieves. I would even venture to say that it's obvious to me that the owners of a lot of these black bookstores know that they are buying copies. They're buying fake, fraudulent copies. So on the one hand, these people are talking about, oh, the white man is evil and we're oppressed. On the other hand, they're willing to rob the people that are bringing the knowledge and the wisdom that are helping to support this movement. This movement is supported by academic research and greatly written books. Greatly written books, the pen is mightier than the sword, will never ever be outdone by some YouTube videos, some internet pages, and even some lectures and documentaries. Because the foundation of all that is academia. It is great works of wisdom, great research, digging into, they say that the devil is in the details. And if you want to hide something from the oppressed, not black people, if you want to hide something from oppressed people, put it in a book. You have the opportunists that look at books, get the information, and go out there and proselytize and pretend that they know stuff. And we also have, I call it, this is the fake Kemetic movement. The Afro-Kemetic movement is full of nut job little children. They are playing costume party with their ancestral way of life. They still have an agnostic agenda inside of their programming. Many years ago, I did a show on agnosticism as opposed to Gnosticism, because it's a serious subject matter in terms of understanding why there's so much fake people out here talking all of this stuff. Because this agnostic program was instituted around the time that the Romans really got the upper hand. If you go back to 1500 BC in ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, Akhenaten was trying to bring in the agnostic paradigm. It was necessary. He went about it the wrong way, or it wasn't time. It wasn't time yet. He wanted everybody to only worship Aten. Aten is Odin. If you study Norse mythology and the Vikings, they talk about Odin. Odin is the sun. So when Akhenaten came up with this monotheism, it wasn't a real monotheism. The idea of monotheism to limit people's access to knowledge and power and skills of the voodoo, of the magic, and of the occult was necessary because it was too difficult for kings and leaders and even other officials of the state to rule with so many people having access to this knowledge. So agnosticism came in. The deities, the gods, the goddesses, the angels, etc., they decided we were going to make this knowledge a secret, and we were even going to make it seem as though it's not real. It's going to be a fantasy now. It's going to be myth now. We don't want people actually doing animal sacrifices. We only want the kings and the queens, the high priest and the high priestess to be doing that. We don't want the general population engaged in practices of magic, casting spells on each other, etc., etc. Fast forward to 2019, we have people who are not getting initiated into the surviving Gnostic systems like Vodun trying to talk about ancient Egypt. You're lost. Oh, sorry, you don't know that you're lost. I mean, how could you know that you're lost where you were born and bred in an agnostic paradigm, started reading some books written by agnostic people on ancient Egypt, giving yourself an Egyptian name, walking around with pictures, maybe you have them in your house, maybe you buy some statues and stuff. That's your Egyptian culture. So it's obvious, and this response, I like this, what initiated this response, because over the years after I came up with the God Genes Decoded, there are some people out there that are adamant that ancient Egyptian system and culture was not a Vodun culture. And they're adamant about this because the Western world has done a good job of making Vodun look evil, stupid, and backwards. And these people see ancient Egypt as being the pinnacle and the crest of, African traditional culture and African history and stuff like that. They never, like the greats from E.A. Wallace Budge. E.A. Wallace Budge went to different African tribes to investigate ancient Egypt. And what he found is that amongst these different African tribes, some of them will tell you that they practiced voodoo. He proved that their practices were harmonious with the ancient Egyptian culture. This type of culture was hegemonic across the globe. It was a Gnostic system. Gnosticism is just a word, so people are finding it very, very hard to, as I say, find your way home. Remember that movie, The Good Dinosaur? Find Your Way Home. They adapted that movie from postings I placed on my fan page. And it was about this same subject. You have all of these really nut jobs out there who haven't found their way home. Three Claw Mountain in The Good Dinosaur, the three pyramids on the Giza Plateau. Not just that, but we are also living in a country, a space and time where freedom of expression and opinion has really screwed people's egos up, and a lot of people are suffering from cognitive dissonance. The thing is that by all accounts, and it's still going down, the voodoo culture, which is Gnostic culture, it is not supposed to be revealed. Only certain people for certain reasons. It is understandable that people will be confused about this voodoo culture, especially since it's where the power is. You don't want people. If you're a king, a leader, if you're running things, you really only want the people that are on your team to be into this science. You want the rest of the people to think it's not real, or to not even know that it exists, or that you can do this or that you can do that. It's kind of like having a mind control program for the masses, which is what agnosticism is. Agnosticism is about mind control. Agnostic means not to know. What you see these people doing is that they will buy a statue and get some coffee table and set up a shrine. They never consecrate the way that the ancient Egyptians did. They're saying they practice ancient Egyptian culture, but if you question them and show them what the ancient Egyptians did, they'll tell you they don't do that. They don't believe in that seriously. So how is it that you're practicing a culture and you don't believe in the practices of the culture? This is menticide. Menticide. Some famous artists did a song. It's called "The Miseducation of the Negro," and we have miseducated Negroes proselytizing in the arena of religion, which is reserved for the priesthood caste. In the American Western cultural construct, you can proselytize on anything, and they're making it easier and easier for you to distribute your bullshit content that's been fed into your brain and continue spreading that bullshit to other people. And quite frankly, you are a bullshitter. Mainly because, one, you're not enlightened. Two, you're not a part of any priesthood. You haven't gone through any type of initiatory rites, but you're talking on the subject matter as some type of expert. And then the worst thing that these people always say, the worst thing, oh, I practice this. You practice what? What nonsense you talking about? If you read Egyptian Magic by E. A. Wallace Budge, no, you're not practicing a damn thing. You might meditate and visualize. Maybe you sing some prayers, some Egyptian prayers. Cool. Maybe you have some statues on your altar. You might as well just go back to the Christian church. You really should. And I'm going to tell you why you should. Talking about you practicing ancient Egypt. The Messiah, Jesus Christus, Jesus Christ, who they call him, he was the last Kemetic Kemu Egyptian king, Pharaoh, Nesut. That's why he's the Messiah, because he was the last representation of the way. The ancient Egyptian system is the way, but obviously you don't know that. You don't know that Islam, Christianity, and Judaism comes out of ancient Egypt. However, you would be running around the planet talking about to hell with religion, only spirituality. They're just words. Religion is a word. Spirituality is a word. Really sit down, hammer out, codify. What are you doing? Regardless of what you call it, what are you doing? Not what you call it. What are you trying to achieve? What processes and what methods are you using? Because anybody could give any type of name to what they are doing. It doesn't mean that they're doing something good, bad, indifferent. It doesn't even mean that they are honest. And the people who don't become enlightened in this age, they can't get around language, words, and language usage. Your brain, your mind, your neural net connections are structured according to the ideas. Those ideas are attached to words and language. And when you have a whole lot of bullshit in your language, which was the purpose of agnosticism, means to not know, and you haven't gone over a cursory, even in depth understanding of words, ideas, sounds, connotations, meanings, etymology, especially history of language. If you haven't done that, you are just, well, what do we say? You are a willing pawn in your own oppression. Peace and love. We're going to have some shows, some live streams coming up. Hit me up here on my YouTube channel, and I will send you the link so you can get the live stream, the pay-per-view live stream of the classes. For anybody out there who is going through difficulties, who have difficulties with the law, maybe even you're being sued, you have trouble finding work, employment, even looking for help with your love life, I am an African traditional priest. I'm a voodoo priest. My specialty is ancient Kemet, because those deities, they have the highest, most powerful deities, and their system is the template system universally. That's why I practice Egyptian voodoo, ancient Kemetic voodoo, ancient Khmu voodoo. I'm an ancient Khmu voodoo priest. I'm a Keriheb. I do animal sacrifices, etc. If you need work done, contact me. EgyptianVoodooPriest@gmail.com. EgyptianVood